How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Liam Anthony. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and smash that like button. We have a live debate here today. We've got Thunder Bay personal trainer Logan Blake. And then we have Mike Barbarossa, who's also a YouTuber. You may recognize him from debates with OG Mizzen as well as Vegan Gains. And essentially, the debate today is going to be between diets. Logan wants to not kill animals, and looks like Mike is arguing that he wants to kill animals. So I'm the moderator, the host for tonight. So what I'm going to do is turn it over to you two, and then, we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I didn't get cleared up on what was going to be the what we're going to debate about, because as far as diet is concerned and whether veganism is healthy or meat eating is healthy, that's really I don't consider that to be an argument, because any individual can have whatever diet they want, and they're free to sacrifice whatever comforts they have. Like, say for instance, if I were to tell you that there's these spiders that you could eat, you have to eat them live, and boy, is super nutrient, and you'll live to be 120 years old. Sometimes they'll bite you in the tongue. You're probably going to pass on that. You're going to work out your own diet, and you're going to consider health, and you can consider what tastes good. And it's like things like you can either sit on the couch or you can go work out and have an exercise. These are the things that you decide for yourself. So whether meat eating or veganism is healthy or whatever, that's not an argument. That's something that you decide for yourself. So if you say
you're kind of saying, like, you're saying that you're sacrificing your health, though. So are you already admitting like that meat and stuff is unhealthy? Because you're saying everybody has the opportunity to sacrifice their own health for taste. That's kind of, you're already saying that it's unhealthy for you.
No, I can do other unhealthy stuff. Like there's a lot of vegan foods. I know they poisoned us for years with the hydrolyzed vegetable oil, the trans fat oil, corn syrup. So I can do it.
So meat and oil are bad.
No, I'm
right?
saying
meat and oil are both bad.
No, meat's good and bad. I'm saying I can do unhealthy stuff like consume corn syrup, or I can do healthy things like go get some trout or some salmon and some fresh vegetables and have a nice, very healthy meal, and the kind that people thrive off of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could.
So why don't we talk about what you should feed your? Why don't we talk about what you should feed your kids then? What's a good diet to feed your kids? Because you wouldn't purposely feed your kids an unhealthy diet.
Well, it's always the same. The kids, it's a struggle because they want to eat what's good, and you want them to eat what's healthy, of course. But yeah, I would try to have my kids eat a healthier diet. Yeah, I would have them eat healthier stuff, of course.
So what is healthier stuff?
Oh, healthier stuff is like a good paleo diet, a good some lean poultry, some turkey, and some salmon or some fish, and some vegetables. And you want to avoid vegan foods like corn syrup or vegetable oils, things like that, chips, salty stuff.
Okay. So chips and oils aren't necessarily vegan foods. Like those are, you could eat that as a meat eater too. Those are just junk foods, right?
That's completely free of any animal products. So those are vegan foods. That's what you like to do. First, you like to lump all chips. It's a vegan food.
All chips aren't vegan.
Yeah. No. What do you mean?
There's a lot of milk products in chips.
Oh, come on now. Chips are just nothing but potatoes and vegetable most of the part, and it's easy to make a vegan potato chip.
Well, no, like 90% of the chips on the shelf, like Old Dutch and stuff like that, Doritos, all those, like, there's only like one flavor of Doritos that's vegan. There's only like one flavor of Old Dutch that's vegan. Like, there's a lot of non-vegan chips, and it can't just be like, this is vegan food. And I wouldn't even be arguing that those are healthy foods anyways. I would be arguing for a whole foods plant-based diet.
Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't say junk foods are healthy.
Yeah, junk foods, yeah, they're not healthy. But of course, like I said, we go back to, it's really not a thing that we can argue, because like I said, you wouldn't want to eat the live spiders and live to be 140, because you want to make your life enjoyable, and you want to consider health, and you want to make your own decision. And that's a personal thing. The only thing that I argue with is that the vegans, you've made a choice and I've made a choice, but you're trying to say mine is a terribly wrong choice to make and yours is the right choice, which is not the case. Like, for instance, if I had a car that got 10 miles to the gallon, you had one that got 20 miles to the gallon, you couldn't say that my car is evil and wrong and that you have the right car. I mean, it's different. Maybe my car has more horsepower.
Yeah,
Huh?
that's what I'm talking about, kids, because like you're gonna want to feed your kids a healthy diet, and not only that, you're gonna want to lead by example. So they're gonna do whatever you do, right? So I don't know if you have kids or not, but I have some kids, and I'm not gonna feed them meat or anything that contains cholesterol or junk foods or things like that all the time. I feed them meat or nothing, never, no animal products whatsoever, because that's linked to heart disease, the #1 killer. So why would I feed my kids that, right? So you're kind of admitting that meat is kind of unhealthy for you, but for some reason you think lean meats are healthy. Why do you think lean meats are healthy?
Lean meats, because like I say, trout has only a 6% RDA of cholesterol. I know you like to harp on the cholesterol. It's very low in cholesterol and saturated fat. But you guys like to look at sausages and then just say all meats like that when it's not the case.
You say moderation is the key, right?
No, moderation and better choices. Good choices, yeah. Moderation.
Okay,
I mean,
what
is
moderation? How do you figure out moderation? What is moderation? Yeah.
But not getting too much of a certain thing that's going to be very bad for you, like sausages.
But how much is too much? Like, how do you figure that out? How many sausages?
Well, there's no set number on that. You just have to make your judgment call. That's what I say. It's your own decision. It's your own personal decision to make. So there's no reason for you and I to argue over what's healthy. We both agree that healthier is going to be healthier. We both agree that we can both sacrifice some things, even though it's not the most healthiest option in the world. We could not exercise 3 hours a day, or we could just, and eat nothing but purified water and raw kale.
But there's a difference between feeding your kids like a little bit of junk food here and there, or feeding them meat every day, which is linked to 14 out of the 15 top ways of dying, including heart disease.
Right?
And you don't know what moderation is. Like, you can't tell me what moderation is. So how do you know you're not killing them?
Well, my kids actually don't eat that much meat. They eat a lot of soy.
Well, what is that much though?
What's not much?
Yeah, like what is not much?
Well, 4 or 5 sausages every meal is too much. Yeah, that's something you can't quantitate. Is moderation like that when you're just talking about eating. Just something that
meats is like a type 1 carcinogen. Like, it's directly linked to cancer. It's like the worst thing you could eat. So even 1 sausage is too much. That's like being like, well, it's just a couple cigarettes.
No, then avoid sausages. You don't have to eat sausages to be a meat eater. Yeah, so that's your choice.
Okay.
we keep coming back to that's your choice.
I'm just trying to figure out what you think is healthy, right? Like, and it just sounds like you don't even really understand like what is healthy.
I understand. Yeah, I understand what's healthy. I understand it's healthy. Whole foods.
Okay, so how much meat is unhealthy?
How much meat is unhealthy? Well, I'm not an expert on nutrition.
How much meat?
I'm not an expert on nutrition. I mean, I don't know if eating nothing but meat, nothing but raw fish might be okay diet. I know there's people who do those diets and they're living perfectly fine. I mean,
I just saw that you posted something about colorectal cancer and vegans get more than meat eaters.
And that's in a very thorough study.
Health.
Yeah, that's a very thorough study. That's what vegan
which
gains
study
put
is
out.
this?
Yeah.
Which study is this? Because I looked for this, and I could only find one on vegetarians.
The imperial study they did in Europe, where they took all this information and they gathered it up. And I actually have a very high instance of colorectal cancer in my family. My mom and my grandma died of it. Okay, and so now you're telling me when this very thorough study says that vegetarians had higher incidences of colorectal cancer, and that study also said that some other cancers they're better at. Of course, I'll admit that. I'm not going to sit here and be dishonest. That's what it said. Okay, but now with my
vegetarians or vegans though.
Well, the way they did the study is so vegans would be under vegetarians.
Yeah.
that'd be
Okay,
classified
so
in
it's the
the
one that I
vegetarian.
found.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one that I found was that they lumped vegans, vegetarians, pescatarians, and part-time meat eaters all in the same group. So that really doesn't mean anything.
So
And
that
also,
debunks
it was a
all.
question. It was a questionnaire. It was a questionnaire that they sent out, and then they checked in, however many years later, and these people, they got cancer on one side in the vegetarian group, which was like all sorts of meat eaters, and then there's the meat eaters, they got cancer, and it was almost equal. So it
No,
was
that was
like
not a questionnaire. That was
the study proved absolutely nothing.
that was, and if that's the case, then all those incidences of less cancer doesn't mean anything because they lump those people in. So you're wanting to dismiss that study when it shows more colorectal cancer, but you're wanting to latch onto it when it shows less other cancers. Why is that?
No, I could care less about what the studies. I could care less about what the study says. It's like completely bogus. I'm not in favor of either side because the whole thing is bogus.
Yeah, let me see if I can. Give me just a second. I'm gonna pull up that because you kind of hit me with that because I put it on my channel. It's vegan gains information.
Yeah, while you're looking for that though, I did find two other studies that were more legit, and one was proving that a high fiber diet actually prevents colon cancer, and the other one was showing that red meat causes colon cancer or is linked to causing colon cancer. So
yeah,
those were two other studies I found.
It was the Oxford EPIC study, prospective study of 63,550 men and women recruited throughout the United Kingdom in the 1990s. Cancer incidence was followed through the nationwide cancer registries. Yeah, and it shows colorectal cancer as being higher.
Was it vegetarians or vegans?
Both the vegetarians and non-vegetarians. Yeah, vegetarians. So with vegans, it's just basically partial the meat.
It's not even vegans on a whole food plant-based diet. That's not even vegans like who have oil and stuff. Like so, it means nothing, right? There's still vegans who eat junk food and vegetarians who consume dairy and eggs. And
absolutely, that's the point. You can be absolutely healthy and unhealthy on both of those.
Well, I was just wondering why that was your only point. That was like your only point that you brought up in the comments was that one study, and it's just completely bogus.
No, it's not a bogus study. It was a very thorough study.
Well, it has nothing to do with vegans on a whole foods plant-based diet. It's not even what I'm talking about.
Vegans are in there. Vegans are in there with the vegetarians.
So how many vegans on a whole foods plant-based diet did they study? Does it say?
No, it just says that there's 65,550 people.
Yeah. So.
And this is the one that this is the one that Vegan Gains brings up every time. So you need to send him that news flash and tell him that what he's been flashing up has been bogus.
Well, what is he flashing it up to prove? Like you're saying vegetarians get more colon cancer, so why would he be flashing that up on his channel to prove something?
Because the other cancers were less in the vegetarian. But you just debunked it, the whole thing, though, so we can't even consider that, can we?
Well, I'm not saying that meat doesn't cause cancer. I'm just saying that the study that you're referencing is bogus because it's a questionnaire and it's not even whole food plant-based vegans.
Yeah, I would avoid those salamis and sausages like that. Those processed high-fat meats that are connected to cancer. I would avoid those. Like I said, I would avoid the corn syrup too, and
so red meat's a type 2 carcinogen. Would you avoid red meat too?
It's a type 2 carcinogen, huh? No, I would enjoy red meat if that's something that I decide I want to do. I mean, I've been eating it all my life, and I'm fair. I don't have any signs of any cancer whatsoever.
Okay, so what's your thoughts on dairy and eggs, and then we'll move on to a different topic.
Dairy and eggs. I like cheese.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on dairy? What do you mean thoughts on dairy and eggs? I'm not sure.
Do you think they're healthy or not? Like, do you think they're healthy or not? Like, I mean, obviously people like the taste of things, but
yeah, egg whites are healthy, and yeah, dairy. I mean, if you do it with the low fat, yeah.
So you're basically in favor of very low cholesterol, right? So you're saying egg whites and lean meats. So you don't want anything with high cholesterol. Is that why?
I
or
mean,
fat, or what is it?
if it tastes good, I'll take. I mean, like I say, that's my personal choice of whether I'm going to decide if I'm going to be healthier. If I want to decide I want to enjoy food.
Okay. So same with
Well,
eggs.
that's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying.
sorry, same with
We don't
milk.
have an argument here.
Okay.
We both
So,
agree that healthier foods are healthy, and unhealthy foods are unhealthy.
So would you
And that we
admit
we all have the
that a
choice.
vegan diet is equally healthy?
It
Like if I
depends
was on
on
a
what
whole
vegan
foods
diet
plant.
did you eat.
Okay, so I'm
You
on a
talk
whole
about
foods
the
plant-based
healthy.
diet. Is that equally healthy or more healthy?
It's hard to say. I think if we went on a whole foods plant diet and then added some, like I say, added some fish, I think you would get a lot of the nutrients that you don't get, that you have to worry about, like the B12 vitamins and stuff like that. All the other B vitamins that you got omega-3 fatty acids that are beneficial that come with the fish. Like I say,
omega-3s in plant foods though, so you don't need to
sure.
have fish for that, right?
Well,
And
it sounds like you don't
B12,
need.
you could just take a supplement.
Yeah,
right?
supplements.
B12.
You mean like the
Well,
vegan gains
B12 doesn't.
made from fish liver?
B12 doesn't come from fish though, right? Like you realize that like B12 isn't just like it's naturally occurring in fish.
So why
Like
do you
it's
have to
from
take a
bacteria.
supplement? So you're admitting that your diet is kind of deficient in certain vitamins if you have to
Well,
take
you
some
realize
supplements like
they
that.
supplement the animals in animal agriculture with B12. They put it in their feed, and that's the only reason why animal products have B12 is because they supplement them.
Well, that sounds good. That sounds like it sounds like it's making it better for us, doesn't it?
Well, you're supplementing and I'm supplementing B12, so that kind of cancels each other out. But then for some reason you're saying you need also omega-3, which is in plants. So do you really need the fish or no? Probably not, right?
I would say you don't need the plants because the fish have it. I could say the same thing.
Well, if fish doesn't have fiber in it, how are you going to go to the washroom?
I can get fiber.
Fish doesn't have all the micronutrients in it. You can get fiber from where? Plants?
So, well, most people who eat are about meat-eating diets eat like 80% vegan. So you have all those caloric opportunities to get any of that fiber and anything that you wanted. You could throw in some kale or whatever.
But then most of those people die of heart disease, right? Most of those people die of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, strokes. You know, they suffer dementia, Alzheimer's, chronic liver disease, autoimmune disease.
You're listening to all these diseases. I mean, everyone eventually
They're all
breaks
linked
down
to
and
animal
dies.
products.
No.
To animal products. No?
No.
Okay. Well,
I want to debate.
I'm just trying to ask you, would you think that it's equally healthy to be on a vegan diet as it is on a diet with meat?
Like I say, it's kind of vague. Exactly what diet with exactly what vegan diet is. There's so much nuance in there.
Well, I already said a whole foods plant-based diet, so no oils, no added sugars, and no added salt. So no junk food, no processed food, no animal products. A lot of vegans eat that way.
Let's do this. Let's say your plant-based diet with no meat, totally vegan, is healthier than anything that I can do with meat, even if I try like some fish and some vegetables and stuff. Let's just give you that. So then I have a choice. We're back to the same thing. I have a choice to eat this healthier diet, or
I wasn't trying to get you to say it was healthier. I wasn't trying to say like tell me that it's healthier. I was saying, is it equally healthy?
Actually, that's hard to say. I'm not an expert on nutrition.
Well, on average, vegans are healthier than meat eaters. So can't you just say it's equally healthy, even though the statistics show that vegans are healthier?
Causation is not correlation, and I can give you an example of that. You guys got your vegan community, and I kind of hang out in the skeptic community, and no one's vegan. One thing I've noticed is all you vegans exercise, you got bikes, you lift weights. All the people in the skeptic community, they all smoke cigarettes. So you're not, you can't say that that's a correlation, because what happens is people who are healthier, people who live healthier lifestyles, they do everything healthier. They're vegan and they exercise and they do meditation.
They have done studies. Yeah,
And that's
they've
people.
done studies on that, and exercise is only about 10% of it, really. Like that's what it comes down to. Is like 90% of it's diet, right? So I mean, being sedentary obviously is terrible, but they've been shown like vegans who sit on the couch and do nothing. Sedentary vegans have better arteries and blood vessels than meat eating marathon runners. There's a study
Arteries and
that
blood
shows that.
vessels.
So I don't know how you could. So
Arteries
a
and
vegan
blood
who
vessels.
sits on the couch, yeah, a vegan who sits on the couch and does nothing has better arterial health than a meat eating marathon runner. Right? So exercising has nothing to do with it.
Well, exercise has something to do with being a vital health, and being able to physically
But
be
the
strong and
diet
healthy enough to do
trumps the
things.
exercise.
Oh, sure, yeah,
The
but
diet trumps the exercise.
diet does trump exercise. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Again, you can have your
So would
choice.
you say it's equally healthy or no? Like I don't
Equally as
know
healthy.
what, like you kind of just said it is healthy. Let's just say it is healthier. Like honest answer, is it as healthy or not?
Like I
and
say,
if
I'm
not,
not
what
an
would you
expert
need?
that you could. I'm not an expert on whether you could do a diet that's very, very healthy that includes some fish and stuff, and not be just as healthy as a very, very healthy diet that's also vegan and doesn't have any of those animal products at all. And if you want to show me some studies, if you got something to cite, I'll certainly look at that.
It's just kind of weird that you're choosing fish as like the magical food that saves the diet, and I just don't understand why you're just picking fish randomly.
Because I'm trying to point out a healthy meat-eating diet compared to an unhealthy and a healthy and unhealthy vegan diet.
But then all
there's
you said was omega-3 and B12s.
Yeah, there's a huge
So all you
difference
said
between
is
a healthy
B12
and
and omega-3s, right? So I mean, I could have omega-3s and B12 on my diet. I don't need fish for that, and also I'll be getting unneeded cholesterol, mercury, toxins, heme iron, saturated fats, all sorts of harmful things on top of that. Why would I want to eat the fish?
Maybe because it tastes good. Maybe you like to enjoy fish. Maybe you like to enjoy life.
Well,
okay,
that's taste now. We're talking about taste, not health.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. Like I said, that's what I explained earlier. You can sacrifice some of the most optimal health things to do, okay, for some pleasure. Everyone does it. No one eats the most healthiest. I mean, there's some people out there that there's some pretty far out routines as far as health and exercise. But I mean, most
Mike,
all of us
I'm
do
gonna
make
interrupt
sacrifices.
here. It seems like you keep avoiding his question. Can a vegan diet be as healthy as any other meat eating diet? It's a yes or no question. You don't have to
Yes,
be
it
an
can.
expert.
It can. Yeah, I already said that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, we could move on to a different topic. We don't have to talk about health.
Well, I mean, you can I let me lead it for a while. I mean, you sound like
Sure.
you. I mean, I'm on because when a debate, you kind of get to be one guy's on the witness stand and one guy's the prosecutor.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's kind of only like three real topics, right? There's health, environment, and ethics, right? Like I don't know. You could talk about whatever you want to talk about, but
Well, I just want to get into the ethics. Are you in the position that if someone is, say, indigenous or poor, and they're the only way that they can reasonably get food is they kind of go out and kill some animals, that's okay?
no, like I mean, if a person's starving in a third world country, there's a few vegans that probably would be like, no, you still shouldn't kill that animal. But of course, yeah.
No, I'm not talking about
Of
someone
course you should,
starving in a third world country. I'm talking about indigenous people who have relied on, and for centuries, they're in a remote area, they're poor, they either do salmon or.
Well, you're saying poor though. You're throwing poor in there.
Yeah,
so
because they don't have money.
Indigenous people or is it poor people? Like you pick
It's
one.
both. It's both because
Right.
if you have
is it
money,
culture or poverty?
if it's both, because if you have money, you could go order. You could have some tofu flown in, right? We're talking about people who do not have that option.
We're talking about. Yeah. Okay. So if it's poverty, we're basically talking about third world country, right? If they don't have any other option because they're poor.
Well, there's a million.
Is that what you're saying?
There's a billion people worldwide reliant on ocean fish for their. I mean, there's tens of thousands of miles of coastline. There's a lot of, like I say, there's a lot of poor people.
All right. Well, okay.
So is it okay? Is it okay for them?
Like, okay, if they're surviving off the land, and that's their only option, like, is to have fish, then yeah, okay, whatever. But I mean, if you're a person like, even if you're a poor person who lives in the city I live in, you can go to the grocery store, you could buy rice, beans, chickpeas, potatoes, bananas. All these things are super inexpensive and super healthy for you.
Okay, that's kind of
So
getting off.
that's not an
Yeah,
excuse.
I understand that. I'm talking about just as a set rule of what you are allowing is that the people who are starving, they can go and kill animal. Okay, we're gonna get a little scenario. Just think of like a Lord of the Rings scenario, and it's Bilbo Baggins, and he's out in the countryside traveling, and it's his adventure. Okay,
Okay.
so we're gonna kind of go through the story. There's a guy who's traveling, and he hasn't eaten for days. Okay, he's starving. He comes across a village hoping he'll get some food. Right. He goes in and says, "Can I do some work for some bread or something?" And I'm starving. I'm about ready to starve to death. I haven't eaten in days. And they say, we're poor. We don't have barely enough food for ourselves. We don't trust outsiders. Go away. So he gets outside of town, and he's starving to death. Is it okay for him to go and steal a loaf of bread from that village?
See, that's kind of a gray area, right? Because I would see, like, how many loaves of bread do they have, right? And like, how rich are these people that own the loaves of bread? Is there lots of bread? Like, is their bread going to go to waste, or am I stealing someone's bread that's like really going to affect them, and their like business is going to go under, their family's going to starve to death, or
Well,
something like that? Like, what is the damage if I steal the bread?
Well, not that their business is going under, that they worked hard for that bread. They paid for the flour. They paid for all the ingredients. They made the bread. So for you to steal it, something that they worked hard and they are completely entitled to, for you to steal it, even if they're rich or not, that's you're saying that's okay? Something, because
No, I'm not saying it's okay.
That's kind of rules of chaos there.
No, I'm not saying it's okay. It's not really chaos either, because like, if you're a thief, right, you're taking the risk, and you know what could happen to you, right? Your arm might get cut off, you might get thrown in jail, so you're taking a risk if that's against
we're
the
not
law,
talking
or
about the
somebody
risk.
might
We're
catch
talking
you.
about whether that's right to do or not. But let's forget it. Let's say they are poor, and there's a guy who's got a little bread making, and he's legally blind, and he can barely keep his kids. So is it okay to steal from him? That's his only option.
I'm going to interject here. What does this have to do with killing animals?
I wouldn't steal
come on.
from the blind guy.
Let me. The thought's going to come through. Just be patient. Just answer the questions.
No, I'm not stealing from a blind guy.
Okay.
If it was Walmart, no big deal.
Well, Walmart, that bread belongs to them. I don't know how you can justify stealing from. But let's say that, okay, so you're starving to death, and you can't even steal a loaf of bread which is valued at $2 from another human being, according to you.
Well, this is kind of a hypothetical situation, because I would be trying to do something else before I just resort to stealing, right?
Yeah, we're getting to that.
Like,
okay,
there's other options.
No, that's all. He couldn't find anything to eat. He was trying to find animal to kill, or what? Nothing to kill. He traced a couple of rabbits. He couldn't get them, and this is just one thing he was going to try. Okay, so he can't steal a loaf of bread, and so he goes on his travel. He's got a bow and arrow, and a little baby goat comes popping out, nice and friendly. Hi, just a wild goat. Okay, is it okay for him? I've
already agreed to that. You could kill an animal if you were starving and poor. Didn't I already agree to that?
So, what you said is that when a person is starving, he cannot steal a loaf of bread from another human being, a $2 loaf of bread from a human being, but he can slit the throat of an animal. Okay,
he can't.
And
steal the loaf of bread. Okay, wait. No, listen to this. You're. It's two different things. So you're stealing from somebody who is starving. That was my example, right?
Really,
I said starving. You could steal from Walmart if it's going to affect them in any way, like they're going to starve if I steal their bread. Then I wouldn't, because then I'm making another human starve to death, right? Now, if you think about levels of sentience and living, vegans do kill animals, right? They do kill bugs, rodents, whatever gets chopped up in the harvesters, but they're trying to kill as little as possible. So you're trying to kill, as little as possible if you're in the bush and you're trying to survive, and you see like a small little lamb or squirrel or whatever goes by, you're starving to death, you're going to eat it, right?
Yeah,
Now, well, let me ask you the same question. If you were in a plane and the plane went down, like the movie Alive, would you not eat somebody? Like, what would you do if it was another human?
you like a live human, kill them and eat them,
Like, have you seen the
or
movie
or
Alive
dead?
or read the book?
Alive. They were talking about eating bodies already dead, right? Or people having to kill somebody or eating somebody's already dead. There's a huge difference. If it's someone's already dead, they're just a piece of meat. Go ahead and eat them.
Yeah. So that's
If
okay,
they're
right? So,
alive,
but what if, like,
if they're
yeah, what
yeah,
would
that's
you eat
just
a human?
he's
Though?
already died. If they were already dead and they
What
were
if you
just
had to
meat,
kill him though? What if you had to kill him? Would
no,
you?
I wouldn't do that because the value of me is the same as the value of them. So I can't ultimately end some person's life just to give me a few days of food. That's not fair. Now, here's where it comes back to.
Okay, so that's the same reasoning as me. That's the same reason. I'm not going to steal from a person with bread because they're going to die. They're going to starve to death, right? But I would kill an animal to survive. But the thing is, right now, you're killing animals needlessly. You're not doing it to survive. You said a diet could be equally healthy on a vegan diet, but you're killing them needlessly when you could eat plants. That's the big difference.
Needless. Okay. So that brings up a good little question. Okay, let's just if X is veganism and Y is meat. Okay, follow me here. Okay, you're saying X is better because Y includes something that includes a practice that we kill animals that X doesn't have, right? You understand what I mean? We have we as meat eaters have a practice that kills animals, and you don't have that practice, right? So that makes
but
veganism,
it's just less.
It's less.
Yeah, like I said, you kill small rodents, you kill bugs.
Yeah, it's less.
You kill as little as possible. That's the point.
Let's go with that. Is it right or wrong, or is it just a little bit better? Is meat eating right, or is it
better? That's the point. It's better. Why wouldn't you go with something that's better?
Okay, yeah, that's just like what you say. Okay, a guy comes along and he all he does is foot travel. He never airplanes, or if he wants to go somewhere, he goes there on foot. 400 million animals get killed on roadways every year. That's needless. We don't.
That's why I run everywhere.
We had we didn't have. We went centuries without roads and planes and stuff. That's needless. So we can say the same thing about anything. Say it's needless.
That's true. It's just because just because you're against killing just because you're against killing animals needlessly for food doesn't mean you can't be against other things like driving cars. Like a lot of vegans ride bikes and they run to work. They're fully aware that this is also a problem, and not only running over animals, but it's bad for the environment. So they also recycle food. They do a lot.
Someone could come along and say
you're for one thing doesn't mean you're against everything else.
No, but someone can come along and say that that's needless killing of animals. They say we can go.
It is.
That's where we get into where you're just affecting people's lives so much by insisting that they have to curtail their freedom to decide on what kind of foods that they want to raise and eat, because they kill just like you kill. Like I say, and what about things like?
Thing is, you got to start somewhere, right? So you start with the biggest problem. The biggest problem is the needless killing for taste pleasure. Then maybe later on work on the transportation thing, because that's more of a secondary issue.
I wouldn't say that's the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that half the trillions of wildlife that occur naturally, these aren't stuff we just raise to eat, have been gone in the last 40 years. The wildlife on Earth has been cut in half because we've got to have airports and we've got to have 4 kids and we've got to have a big house and everything.
No. All this species extinction is coming from animal agriculture
Hold on.
No.
Settle down, guys, for a second. So when we're throwing out statistics, I think it's really important to be truthful with the statistics. Yes, if you're including insects, the numbers can be into trillions. But if you're talking about mammals, rodents, and everything like that, I think it's like a couple million or something like that are recorded in terms of animal deaths on the roadways, and compare that to land animals and animal agriculture, which is about 60 billion.
You need to look up that about this. It's $1 million. 1 million animals a day.
Is it 1 million animals a day?
1 million animals a day. That's just in the U.S. That's 365 million a year.
If you can't,
roughly.
if you count the fish, though, it's like trillions, right? So you're advocating to kill fish too. So that's like trillions of animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's still not even close.
Yeah, sure. It's not even close. Sure.
Yeah.
But it's a
So
problem.
I mean,
It's
you're
needless
talking to
killing.
a guy who runs
you
to
were-
work, though. You're telling me about cars, and I run to work, so I don't even know what this
I
argument is
bicycled.
about.
I bicycled 13 miles to work for 2 years. So
Okay, so
But
so why are we talking about cars then?
You've gotten into cars, haven't you? In airplanes, have you flown? You gone to strip malls? All that stuff kills animals, as well as your vegan foods.
Yeah. Okay, but now you're just appealing to futility. I said vegans do kill animals, but they try to kill the least amount possible. Now you're saying you have to do 100% or 0%.
No, not 100% or 0%. We just got to find out what's needless, because that's the linchpin that you use. Because we say we're just eating food. We'll say, well, you can go ahead and eat soybeans. Well, I can say you don't need to eat soybeans. You can eat meat. I can say the same thing. No single food source is needed.
When you go to the grocery store, you could either pick the cow's milk or move your hand this way and pick the plant milk. But you're making the choice every time to pick that milk. It's very simple. Like it's not the same as, oh, I have to get to work and I my job is 50 miles away or whatever it is, and that's the only way I could get to work is to feed my family and stuff like that. Like it's not even comparable.
And then there's other thing. Yeah, there's all kinds of the killings that happen for travel, for your vegan diet, for the strip malls, for the pollution.
The point is it's way less.
Okay, so what?
It's way less on a vegan diet.
Yeah, but
so why not go
everyone's got his fuck it, the animals are going to die point. It's like vegan gains with his feeding his dog, or you. Why
are we talking about vegan gains all the time?
I just know his style.
Vegan gains in his dog.
I don't know your arguments. Do you have a dog that you feed?
Okay. No, I have 2 cats that I got before I went vegan. So I'm kind of forced to deal with them until, they pass on, but I'm not going to buy any more pets. I'm actually against pet ownership too.
They are on vegan diet, the 2 pets, the 2 cats?
No.
Okay, so you've got your fuck it, the animals are going to die point. And that's given your...
What do you mean?
You've reached there's a certain point where you say, fuck it, the animals are going to die. Mine is I want to eat their meat. You say no, but when it comes to feeding your animals, you say, okay, that's it. Where's the slaughterhouse? I need some food for my cats. So we have just
like I said, I got them before. Like I said, I got them before I went vegan. Right. So what am I going to do now? Kill them?
But your animals are still dying.
What are my options?
First
of all, it's byproduct, right? Which isn't an excuse. But again,
I fully support
you're appealing to futility. First of all.
That's not appeal to futility. I'm just saying.
What's the solution, though? What's the solution? I let them go in the cold and they die.
The solution is that you feed them animal products. The solution is you feed them animal products, and I think that's perfectly okay. That's the solution. You're the one has the conundrum.
So what? Okay. No, but I don't get how you're using that as an argument against me.
Because
I didn't go vegan and then get the cats.
You're using animal products. You've found points.
So what?
What do you mean?
So what does that mean, though?
That means that there is a certain point where animals die with you or with anybody.
Okay. Yeah. So why not choose the least amount? Why are you choosing the most amount?
I'm not choosing the most amount. I'm for grass-fed beef, which is like getting away from chicken, where 600 chickens have to die. It's where 1 cow has to die for the same amount of calories.
That's the least environmentally friendly meat, though. That destroys the whole planet because you can't fit grass-fed cows everywhere. That's why they cram them in, because there's no room for those.
No, they don't cram it. I live in Texas. I've seen tens of thousands. In
animal agriculture, they cram them in, right? In animal agriculture, they cram them in because they have to do that because otherwise it would take up a crazy amount of land.
99% of cows are not crammed into those factory cattle farms. When I live here in Texas, I can drive miles. The only one I've ever seen is west of Amarillo, Texas. It's where they
99% of cows aren't crammed in?
Are not crammed.
99% of cows are grass-fed.
Well, they're
Okay, well,
grass
I've
fed.
heard
They're
the
all they're
complete
not grass
opposite.
fed, but they're in open pastures. They feed them corn feed, and grass. But a vast majority of
You're
cows are
saying
not factory,
99% of all cows are grass fed.
not
That's what I'm
grass
saying.
fed, not crammed in the factory farms. Is what I'm saying. Those factory farms are
I
few and
mean,
far between. Have you? Where do you live at? What state you
Thunder
live in?
Bay,
What state?
Ontario, Canada. It's a
Well, they're
province.
bound to have vast
Province.
thousands and thousands of cattle pastures out there in Ontario, don't they? Just like open pastures.
Well, they also have slaughterhouses and all sorts of things crammed in, right? Yeah, I mean, but that
No,
doesn't
not
mean
slaughterhouses.
99% of all meat comes from animal agriculture. Like that's where it comes from. So I don't know what you're talking about.
That's what agriculture. I'm talking about a very small percentage of cows are held in these kind of small pens. They're like 30 foot by 30 foot, and they put about 15 of them in there, and all they're fed is bales of hay.
Yeah.
There's no grass.
Yeah, so 1% is grass fed.
No,
1% of all meat is grass fed.
1% is crammed factory farmed.
Right?
1% is grass fed.
Okay.
I don't know what the percentage is of just pure grass fed, but I know grass fed.
Okay, so you're saying 60 billion animals are all free range? Is that what you're saying?
The cattle, not the cattle. I know the chickens all mostly come from the houses, but the cattle, and then a lot of the pigs too. A lot of them. I mean, there's a problem there. Maybe we can also talk about, like I say, we've already gotten into Monsanto and a lot of the things that are wrong with the vegan industry. Monsanto, the
you realize 85% of crops, the Monsanto, GMO corn and soy and grains, all that stuff goes to feed animals. So if you're going to talk about 85% GMO, Monsanto stuff, it's all going to feed animals.
Yeah, a lot of it is, but of course, yeah.
Majority of it is.
A majority of it is? Yeah, of course.
And if you're concerned about the pesticides,
blood's on both of our hands. That's what I'm saying. Blood's on both of our hands, though, isn't it? Because you want to.
Well, I mean, you have a choice. If you're concerned about GMO corn, that's different than needlessly slaughtering an animal. And on top of that, you can make the decision whether or not to, poison your own body with junk food or pesticides. But that has nothing to do with paying somebody to slit an animal's throat. That's just eating a piece of corn.
Okay, I'm just going to run those.
And if you're concerned about the pesticides in the corn or the soy or whatever, that builds up in the animals because they eat 3 times the amount of plants that you do. And
well, there's pesticides in vegetable crops too. There's pesticides in vegetable crops too.
Yeah, but you're eating more in the animal products because it builds up inside their bodies.
Okay, so
it's still worse.
We absolutely can have our choice to eat meat, and we can go organic. On both sides. You
just brought it up, so that's why I'm saying that.
Okay, we can go organic on both sides. Like I say, back to the original, you can be healthy and unhealthy on both sides. And like I say, most. Well,
one side doesn't have to slit an animal's throat for no reason and destroy the entire planet.
Yeah, but they do have to grind them up into the combine. They have to gas their soybean fields.
But it's
very minimal. No, it's not minimal. It's quite a bit.
It's minimal compared to the other option, right? That's the point.
Well, if you want to compare,
it's like,
let's compare a vegetable crop that's devoid of any wildlife because they've gassed everything, compared to a cattle pasture which is teeming with life. It has brush, it has tall grass, it has trees, it has ponds. A vegetable crop.
Cattle pastures aren't like that. They're just grass. They keep all the other wildlife out, and it's just grass.
No, you haven't spent much time outdoors, have you?
You just said, hey. Yeah, you just said, hey, you live in Thunder Bay or whatever. Like, don't you see cattle ranches? Yeah, I see them everywhere, and they're just grass. So that's not true.
There's all kinds of animals living in those pastures. They don't scrub them out.
You think there's more animals living in the rainforest or the cattle pastures?
Probably the rainforest.
So why are you plowing down the rainforest for the cattle pastures if that's the argument?
Plowing down the rainforest? I'm not plowing down any rainforest. I'm against that.
1 acre per second. 1 acre per second, or every 2 seconds, I believe it is, for animal agriculture. So if you're
No, a
paying
lot of
somebody
that's
for
not
meat,
for
you're not against it.
agriculture. A lot of that is for houses. A lot of that is for foresting. No.
Yeah, there's other rainforests getting plowed down for other reasons, but it's still like 1 acre every 2 seconds
Yeah.
for animal agriculture.
And that's the population of the human beings exploding, and we're needing more habitat for every reason. And that's habitats everywhere.
No, but you don't need more habitat for meat. You could feed the world. You could feed the world 3 times over on a plant-based diet. It takes way more room to have meat. It's only 1/6 of an acre to feed a family on a whole foods plant-based diet, and it's multiple acres for an American meat diet.
We've got a lot of wide open land out here in the U.S.
You don't really.
Yeah.
Well, like, so you're gonna plow down everything and just make grass fields? Like, you think that's gonna be helpful?
You don't need
Or
to,
do you think
to pin up cattle. You just need to throw up a barbed wire fence. You don't need to sterilize the land like you do when you're making a soybean field.
Well, there's a statistic that shows if you were to feed everybody in America on a grass-fed diet, grass-fed, cattle diet, beef diet, you would have to plow down everything in Canada, everything in America, and half of South America just to do that. So you destroy half the planet trying to feed just America grass-fed meat.
Oh, where did you hear that from?
That's the land usage, the numbers. Those are the statistics on how much meat per grass-fed you have to fit, a certain amount of cows to be considered, open free range compared to animal agriculture where they cram them in. Right now, 51% of the world is being destroyed from animal agriculture, and it's not grass-fed. They're crammed in. So now you're letting all those free. Now it's even more land. Why would you think it would be less land?
Yeah, that's got less impact on the land because all you gotta do is throw up a barbed wire fence and they graze off the grass. I mean, we got vast.
Then there's just grass.
Yeah, and that's healthy for you.
Well, you don't need trees or anything else. You just grass. Like, what are you talking about? You just have cows just farting everywhere. Like, grass-fed cows fart way more and they live way longer. So you're just so much more methane too.
Yeah, cows fart
more when they're grass-fed. 4 times more.
Well, you can have a healthy diet and it can be partly grass-fed. That's not a problem. Now, if you want to talk,
it's a big problem because you don't know what moderation is. You don't know what moderation is, so how do you know it's not a problem?
I know what moderation is. I don't know the exact amount of nutritional value that you need for moderation when you're eating something like a sausage or something. Yeah. I know eating one sausage.
Okay, so what's moderation for cholesterol from other meats? How much cholesterol is too much?
Well, I would go by the USRDA recommendations.
Which is what?
I don't have the exact amounts here. They have a USRDA for cholesterol daily. I'd go off those guidelines. Yeah.
Okay, so I believe it's like way too high. Like it's 150 or 200 milligrams or something, and their RDA is like you already have plaque on your arteries. So it's like, what's actually normal? So like any animal products shoot your cholesterol like way up. Like even if you had meat once a week, like is still not even good enough, and it'll shoot your cholesterol up, and then it just stays up. And if you keep adding meat to it, it just continuously stays up, and then you suffer a heart attack later on, and that's why heart disease is the #1 killer. So moderation doesn't even exist, and it's different person to person. Everybody has a different baseline cholesterol.
No, like I say, there's a huge difference.
You can't figure out what moderation is.
Yeah, I just told you about eating fish and everything. That's tells I do know what moderation is.
Fish has cholesterol. Fish has saturated fats, and fish doesn't have fiber.
Like I told you, trout only has 6% RDA, a full serving, and that could be the only meat you have all day. Is a serving of trout. You would get 6% of the RDA of cholesterol, and those numbers are pretty strict.
So
those RDAs are strict. fairly strict.
I'll just give you an anecdotal example. I'll give you an anecdotal example of that. So there's a guy named Bob Harper who went vegan, right? Then he added fish back in his diet. He exercised every day, which you claim to be that's the cure, is you just got to exercise. And the guy suffered a heart attack and almost died. And now he's back on a whole foods plant-based diet, healing himself. So fish was the culprit, just adding fish back in, and exercise didn't help.
Wow, you sure made a quick correlation. We absolutely have no idea why he had a heart attack. We don't know his family history. We don't know what was going on inside his body.
I said it was anecdotal. I said it was anecdotal, but you're claiming that
even your anecdotal is flawed because we have no idea why he had a heart attack.
How is it flawed?
Because we have no idea how to heart attack.
You really think it all has to do with family history with heart attacks? Like it doesn't
absolutely.
Have to do
there are people who can eat sausage day in and day out and not get any buildup, and there's people who eat healthy who get buildup. It's definitely.
Think about on the opposite. No, think about the opposite spectrum. Somebody who doesn't eat sausage or any animal products or doesn't put any dietary cholesterol or oils into their body, are they going to have a heart attack?
Well, they're going to wish they had a heart attack because their diet's going to taste like shit. Cardboard, probably.
Taste buds are relative to whatever you've been eating.
Yeah, that's why
and you can't taste amino acids. So your diet only tastes good because you covered it in spices and you cooked it.
Yes, great. I had some flat iron steaks. It's just wonderful. On the grill, smoked. Steak fajitas. Delicious.
So we talked a lot about like if you're starving and surviving, having to steal bread and everything. So I mean, like you're appealing to like things that aren't even happening. So why are you just doing it for no reason?
Now you kind of avoid that because you said you wouldn't steal it if he was going to starve to death. But I explained to a bread dealer, if you stole one loaf of bread, he's not going to starve to death. He's poor. It's going to hurt him. But that bread belongs to him. The end benefit belongs to him.
Okay, so I'll give you a different example, just like the alive thing. So if you punched a guy in the face and you got to survive an extra day, would you do it?
If I punched a guy in the face and I got to survive one more day,
would you punch a guy in the face to survive another day?
Yeah, probably not. What's a day?
You're going to die if you didn't punch him in the face.
Well, I was going to die tomorrow anyway, right?
Right. It's just like a loaf of bread, right? You hurt the guy. He didn't die, but you got to live an extra day.
An extra day?
You'd punch him.
I wouldn't punch him. For one day? The end is here if I'm only going to live one more day. It's different if I'm going to live 20 more years by punching him.
Well, maybe the next day you could find a job or punch him again.
Yeah. And then I could say, okay, guy, I'm going to make this up to you. Okay, but the point is, we live in a natural world for tens of thousands of years where everything kills to get food, right? And that's
appealing to nature.
That's not appeal. That is not appeal to nature. You guys,
of course it is.
Like if I say to you,
we live in a world where all animals take a crap outside. So why aren't you taking a crap outside?
I can take a crap outside. There's nothing wrong with that. On my land.
But why are you just picking the one thing? Why are you just picking eating meat? Why aren't you picking something else? Why is that one thing okay to do, but the other ones aren't?
No, I'm listening. What I was trying to say is, your appeal to nature. Like if I say I got angry and I say, well, that's natural for a guy to get angry. That's an appeal to nature. You can appeal to nature when it comes to just the basic things like breathing and food. That's not an appeal to nature. The way that we are, that's our natural way that we are. Okay, but here's the point. That's all right. Killing other things, that's just the way things are. Now, the only difference is, and you guys is that you and I need to come to an agreement. I don't kill you, you don't kill me. I don't steal from you like a loaf of bread. You don't steal from me. We don't make that. That's the only difference. Otherwise, we kill for food.
Okay, so why does a lion kill for food? Why does answer this though? Why does a lion kill for food?
Because that's the only way he knows how to kill. That's the only way he knows how to get food.
Okay, so we have choices. We know of other ways how to survive, unlike a lion who lives in nature. So we can make a different decision than a lion can, right?
We could, yeah. So the thing is, you said it was okay for the lion to kill the because that was the only way he knew how to feed himself. Okay. Every human being from prior to the Industrial Revolution. Let's go back. I don't want to go back too far to where like apes. Let's just go back like say 100,000 years.
So now we're
like
appealing to ancestors, though. Now we're appealing to ancestors.
No.
That's a different argument.
No, not appealing to ancestors. You're not even letting me finish. We're going to take everyone from 200 years ago to 100,000 years, and they were in the exact same situation as that lion. That's all they knew. All they knew better was to kill an animal to eat. They didn't have scientists back then who looked at the beans and said, "Oh, these beans have protein. We can have these beans instead."
So you just appealed to ancestors, though.
No.
That's exactly what that was.
No, it's that they get the same excuse as the lions does. That's all they knew.
But we don't. We have technology now.
Okay, that's fine.
That's the difference.
So, are you with the whole name the trait thing? Do you kind of follow that?
I'm with logic. I don't use that specific argument, but I'm not gonna deny logic.
Well, it's hard to argue that point if you don't sign on to name that trait. But the whole thing about name that trait is those people are excused. Name the trait has you have to take a sentient being,
yeah,
and you have to say,
well, the argument.
I can't kill them, okay? But you and Ask Yourself and Big Gains, everybody else has already excused everyone who needs to kill an animal to survive, or if that's all they knew, just like a lion.
Yeah.
So
you're not our ancestors. You're not starving. You're not a lion. So no, we're not talking about things apply to you.
Hold on a second. Will you let me finish my thought? We're talking about everyone from 2,000 to 100,000 years ago. We're talking about all the indigenous people, the 1 billion people who are relying on seafood, all the poor people living in remote areas. That's 99.9% of all people born in the last 100,000 years are exempt. So why are you fixating on this tiny portion of human beings? And that's just a modern Western man who can get soy, and we know about it. But you've excused all that. And the whole thing is, where did name the trait go for the other 99.9%? You just set it aside. It's bullshit.
Well, they wouldn't need to use that argument because they weren't destroying the planet, right? And they weren't needlessly killing animals, and they didn't know how unhealthy it was for you.
No, we're not talking about
all
health.
Three of the things that I'm arguing didn't apply to them.
We're talking about name the trait, not the health stuff. The name the trait lies down a moral law that says that is a sentient being. You can't.
Mike, to be fair, Logan has never once brought up name the trait. It's not his argument, and he's not arguing from that position.
Yeah, I know that.
When you say that that's his position, and when you're arguing against name the trait, it has nothing to do with Logan or this conversation.
Yeah, I didn't say that was his position. In fact, I noted that it wasn't.
The thing I see like the wrong with name the trait is like people don't seem to grasp it, and they also think that they just assume that you're saying that all life is equal, which I'm not, because I've already explained you try to kill as little as possible.
Yeah, but no one can ever explain the exemption. I've sat down with vegan gays and I tried. No one can explain the exemption. It's 99.99% because 100,000 years ago, those animals were still sentient.
But nobody's asking them to name the trait. They're dead. Why?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Why would we care if they could name the trait?
It doesn't matter. The same rule applies. It was the same sentient bees. Just like we can
They're not in the same boat as you.
They're
not even in the same ballpark as you.
Yeah, but why are they exempt?
Makes sense. Like
what happened to name the trait when they
already said? Okay, well, a logical fallacy is just appealing to ancestors is what you're doing.
Yeah, that's not. I don't care about them being my ancestors. I care about them being people who did not have modern agriculture, who were just trying to live, not their ancestry.
Mike.
Their ability to get food.
Mike, hold on, respect the moderation here. Logan has not brought up name the trait once. You are strawmanning his position. Please address the points that he's making in this particular conversation. Thank you.
Okay, so I mean, all I want to say is like, you're talking about things that don't apply to you, right? You're talking about, oh, these other people can do this and these other people can do that. Like, if somebody kidnapped somebody, they're in a different boat than you are. So the same rules don't apply to you and them. And anybody in any other position than you,
Well, this is an
not
argument.
going to be the same.
This is an argument for me. It's an argument for all people, and that was laid down.
Not. No, it's not, because we already established that if you are starving to death, you could catch a fish. Like, I have no problem with that. You're not starving to death, so you're not in the same boat.
I'm not starving to death, just relying on the animals, and then without them, it's going to be extreme hardship. Not starving to death.
What? You can't go to the grocery store? Why would it be extreme hardship?
There's a big difference between someone who's laying there starving and saying, "Oh, get me a fish if that's all we got," and someone who, for centuries, has been living a lifestyle either fishing or harvesting animals at a remote area, and that's their indigenous way. There's a huge difference between that. So now we've established that someone in San Francisco, downtown San Francisco, well, he's got tofu and stuff. He shouldn't be eating meat. But you've excused the guy over here, way over in northern Alaska, okay, right? So we got this like, say, 2,000 miles between the two, okay? And let's say there's someone living every mile there's 2,000 houses from the guy in down San Francisco to the guy in remote Alaska. Okay, you, with your needless, are going to have to draw a line.
Yeah, so now we're appealing to distance? Like, distance away? Like, there's a homeless shelter down the street. Should I go over there and tell everybody to go vegan? No, I'm not going to do that because they're homeless and starving.
No, listen to what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter how far away they are.
You're going to have to say, well, this guy is far out. He's too far from Alaska to go. It's 400 miles from the drive to Alaska and get some tofu. He's okay with the food. But this house over here, well, a mile sooner, he's kind of close. You're going to have to draw a line because you're the one who said needless. So where's the needless line?
If you're starving to death and you can't, you can't go to a grocery store and buy rice and beans and all those other things that I've already named. You can't go buy those. You live in a third world country. Maybe you got a spear. Maybe you go spear fishing and you run around in a loincloth.
Well, he can grub around. No, that's not because there's a guy he can grub around and get some nuts and stuff, and he would be very skinny.
I wouldn't go tell that guy to go vegan though.
You have to make that judgment. You put the needless in there, and so
I am making the judgment.
You're gonna have to tell me what's needless.
Like,
you got to tell me what the need is. He has to be starving.
You got money? Do you go to the grocery store? You got a job? Do you have a choice to buy plant milk or cow's milk? Do you have a choice to not buy eggs and buy nuts or seeds?
Well, the grocery store is 100 miles away.
Then it's needless.
Grocery store is 100 miles away.
Your store is 100 miles away?
102 miles away, 103 miles away.
So you don't go to the grocery store?
Oh, me? I'm talking about everybody. You're the one who's deciding who's.
You can't talk about everybody. You can't just lump every human together and say everybody does the same stuff. No, we're talking about you specifically. Like, why aren't you going to the grocery store and buying something else? Like
why I'm not? Because it expands my diet. It gives me more choices, more things to enjoy when I include meat in my diet.
It's only four things. It's only four things: meat, dairy, eggs, and honey. That's it. Four things you got to cut out of your diet to save, help save billions and trillions of animals and save the planet.
Save animals?
And save your health. You got to cut out four things, and that's too hard.
I'm saving those animals, huh? They're never born if I don't.
Yeah, you save like an animal. I don't know, a certain amount of animals a year by not eating them.
So I save them.
That's how you save them. You just don't eat them.
What's save? Does that mean
they don't breed? They don't breed anymore for you to eat.
Oh, so they never get to live. So that's not saving them. That's making sure they don't exist. Those animals live a life.
You're breeding them into a life. You're breeding them into a life of just suffering and then getting killed. So you're saving them from that. There's no pleasure in it.
They're not suffering compared to regular wild animals. They're weighted on hand and foot by us. We're on the top of the food chain, We created them. We're waiting on them hand and foot.
You're talking about the cows in rape racks are weighted on hand and foot. That's what you're talking. The ones who get
fed. They
the
just have to
bloody
sit there.
udders from being milked so much. The ones who get like the chickens and who get thrown into grinders and have their beaks burned off, and then the pigs get their tails ripped out and teeth pulled out.
Yeah, they're being
weighted on hand and foot.
Yeah, they're being fed every day. They don't have to worry about any
after they
food.
get their teeth pulled out, they get fed. Like, that's okay for you for somebody to pull your teeth out and then feed you? That's a nice deed.
Oh, people get their teeth pulled out. They don't pull out all animals' teeth.
Yeah, they do. They pull out the pig's teeth.
They pull out just the
that?
canine. They pull out that one sharp canine. That's all they pull out.
Even if it was that, does that make a difference? Oh, it's just one tooth. They just rip the tail right off of them. Oh, it's just a tail, right?
Yeah,
no big deal.
They're there just for food. Yeah, that's the only reason they exist.
For food. For what reason though? There's other food. What reason is the point?
There's other food.
Why they're for food?
Yeah, there's other food. There's other food besides vegan food.
There's other food besides vegan food. Like what? There's meat. There's animal products and there's plants. What's the other food?
So you can always flip that. You can always flip that.
What's the other food? What's the other food besides vegan food? What are you talking about?
Animal products.
Okay. So
no food.
I don't see your point.
No food is necessary.
No food is necessary. If you want to live, food is necessary.
You can live without pork. You can live without wheat. You can live without soybeans. You can live without chicken. It's one of those things. You can eliminate one of those things totally and live off everything else.
Why not eliminate the one that causes the most harm? Right?
Because that's the tastiest one.
The one that causes the most harm. So it's just taste. That's all it is.
Yeah, I don't.
Somehow it always goes back to taste. What do you mean? Why it's not the most harm? You're killing 3 times as much plants to feed to the animals than killing an animal. That's the most harm.
Oh, what happened?
He's just putting on a video. It looks like there. So you were saying that it's not a big deal, and I guess he's showing you that it is a big deal, and they're not living in comfort.
Yeah, look, they hit him like that. They're unconscious. They bleed him out.
So would you like to be hit like that for no reason and bleed you out?
Of course not.
Taste pleasure. Well, yeah. So why would you do it to somebody else? Why would you do it to another animal?
Somebody else. That is a food livestock.
Another animal, I said. Another animal. Why would you do it to another animal? You're an animal, right? Why would you do it to another animal for no reason?
Well, wouldn't I do it to a human animal?
No, an animal, another animal. Why would you do that to another animal for no reason?
Because I created it. I waited on it hand and foot for the promise of its meat, and now it's time to live its purpose. We're now going to benefit from that animal. If I created you like you were my kid, that would be okay for me to just kill you whenever I wanted to? No, that's totally different. And can I explain why? You just said that it's okay if someone doesn't have any other option to go ahead and kill animals, right? If they're out remote somewhere.
Yeah, but that's not what you're saying.
No, let me finish.
But that's not what you're saying. You're using my argument as your argument.
You got to let me finish my point.
That's not. You're just doing it for no reason, though. No. You're not starving.
Okay.
You're not starving to death.
To the point. So someone's out on a remote island, and the only thing that they can have to survive is shrimp. So they are allowed.
That's not you. That's not you.
No, wait a minute. They are allowed by you to kill 1 million shrimp throughout their lifetime just to sustain that one person. So don't you think that human beings are a lot more valuable according to you? So why would you do that to a human being?
Human beings are valuable than 1 million shrimp? What are we talking about?
Yeah, they're more valuable. You are allowing 1 million shrimp to die so that one person can sustain his life.
I'm allowing 1 million shrimp to die? What are you talking about?
You're allowing.
When have I ever done that?
You said it was okay for a person who had no other choice to kill animals.
That's not you. That's not you.
That doesn't matter.
So we're talking about you.
I was talking about
Why doesn't it matter?
I'm talking
My
about
question was,
I was
why
talking
do you
about
do
how,
it? Not some guy who's starving to death.
I was getting to the point of how vegans like yourself value
But
humans
you always
compared to
resort to
animals.
starving to death. You
How
always resort
vegans,
to somebody starving to death, and
no,
that
not
has
starving.
nothing to do with you.
That was how vegans like yourself value humans compared to animals. And then you're going to say, well, why don't we just take humans and slaughter them?
No, that's
They're
called,
a million times
that's
more
called
valuable
logic.
by your own logic.
So if you're saying you're needlessly killing that animal just for taste pleasure, then I'm saying, why can't I just do that to you? And then you're talking about starving to death, and that's the vegan
I was trying
argument.
to
Like, you're not
point
making
out,
any sense.
no, I'm trying to point out how we're much, much more valuable our lives are, according to you, than animals. So you can't
Okay.
sit there and say, oh, you can do it to animal? Why don't you do it to humans? Well,
All right, guys.
Well, I can say that.
All right, guys.
Why couldn't either one is needless? That's why I was saying it. The argument was needless, right? You're saying taste pleasure.
the guy who ate the shrimp, that was needed.
All right, guys. Awesome conversation so far. We are past the hour mark, so I'm gonna throw my hat into the ring. So Mike, I'm vegan,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's immoral to kill animals. Do you want to ask me some questions?
It's immoral to kill animal. Okay.
Yep.
Let's see. I had some notes here. Yeah, it's not immoral to kill animals.
Okay, so what factor are you using for moral relevance?
Well, the only moral relevance there is the one that we kind of make up. See, because killing of animals for food is something that's always done. And
Well, hold on. So what are you using to determine moral consideration? Like, what relevant factor are you using for moral consideration?
No, that's whatever we come up with is moral.
So what have you come up with?
What I've come up with is that killing is natural. It's been done trillions of times by trillions of animals. But now, so humans came along, and we've got the same situations. So what we said to each other was,
all right, hold on. No. I asked you, what are you using to determine who has moral consideration and who doesn't?
who has moral consideration?
Yeah,
well, everyone defines.
Hold on. What factor are you using to determine one thing one thing's worth moral consideration, but the other thing isn't worth moral consideration?
I was trying to explain that to you, that killing for food is other animals for food is natural, but we have decided to come together as humans and make that exception and decided an agreement. And this agreement, to not have it would be absolutely retarded.
So if all humans decided that you're not worth moral consideration, would you still feel that you're worth moral consideration?
Yeah, well, what I was trying to say is our agreement is that you don't kill me, I don't kill you, you don't steal from me, you don't kill from me.
Can you answer my question? If everybody in human society decided that you aren't worth moral consideration, would you believe that you're not worth moral consideration?
If everyone in the society decided I was not, I was not worth, everyone in
okay, hold on.
I was die could be killed. Everyone in society decides it's okay to kill me because my life doesn't matter. That's what you're saying. Everyone besides me.
So if because you're saying that because humans have come together and decided that it's okay to kill animals, that's what makes it morally acceptable. So if everybody decided that it's okay to kill you, would you still feel that you're worth moral consideration?
Well, if everyone decided to kill me, I guess I'm dead. Because
well, hold on, Mike. Listen to what I'm saying here. All right. We are talking about prescriptive behavior. We're not talking about descriptive. We're not talking about what would happen. We're talking about how things should happen, because there's no point of talking about morality or ethics based on what happens, right? We're talking about how things should happen. Okay. So if a large amount of people say, hey, Mike, you're not worth moral consideration, do you still feel that you should be worth moral consideration?
Depends on the reason that they had that I was not worth.
Doesn't matter. You didn't do anything wrong. You were just living your normal life. They just decided.
I would probably be convinced that I was not worth moral consideration if I had 7 billion opinions saying that I wasn't, and then I'm sitting there saying, well, I think I am. I mean, I would have to
So
say,
you let
well,
others think for you. You can't make a decision on your own.
no, I would just look at consensus. It's you know, am I crazy to think that I am?
So if everybody decided that the Earth revolved around the sun, just arbitrarily, then you would agree because everybody thinks that way?
Not because they think that way, no.
So you just base your morality on what the majority says is okay.
My morality. You're talking about. You got me a little confused because you're talking about my moral worth or what I.
Well, you haven't answered my question. You just said, well, hey, you know, if everybody thinks I'm not worth moral consideration, then I guess I'm not worth moral consideration.
Yeah.
So you base moral consideration on what everybody thinks. So if everybody thought that blacks are okay to kill, then that's okay because that's what the majority of people think.
Well, that would be their own definition of morality, and I would be over here. I would, you know, I would maybe not think that, but then I would I would maybe change my mind, thinking like, well, what's wrong with me that everyone thinks that, but not me?
So you are pretty much just influenced by what everybody else is doing, and you really can't. You're too flaky to go ahead and make any real kind of decision and kind of live your life by any real.
No, I'm not
principle.
flaky. I'm just being pragmatic. As if why would 7 million think this and just me think this other thing? I would have to consider why that's so.
For whatever arbitrary, because your name's Mike. That's the reason. Because you're not them.
I'll change my name then.
Mike, this is complete sophistry here. You're putting on your dancing shoes and you're dancing around the question.
Yeah, I'm not understanding what you're trying to get to there.
Okay. What I'm asking you, what relevant factor do you use to determine if somebody or something has moral consideration? You said that it is based on what the group that I'm a part of decides. And then I asked you, if that group decides that you aren't worth moral consideration, do you still consider yourself worth moral consideration, to be worthy of moral consideration? It's a simple question.
Yeah, I would consider if we're talking about me right now as I've lived my life and behaved, I would make the argument that I am worth moral consideration. Yeah.
So you're still worth moral consideration. So
yeah.
The fact that what the majority of people say is okay isn't really a relevant factor for moral consideration.
Now, what are you defining as moral consideration? It's like my life is protected. Should be protected.
To respect you, to respect your well-being, to give you the right of not to be killed, not to be needlessly harmed in any type of particular way, your liberty, your freedom as an individual, right? To respect your well-being, right? To not harm you.
I'd be confused, but I'd be just like, I think an instinct of survival would kick in. That I would say that, you know, I would say, yeah, I want to be considered. I want my life to be considered.
Okay. All right. So can we agree that what everybody says isn't really what determines moral consideration? And it's not what you're using. And
yeah. Morality, every single person defines their morality. So of course, when we're talking about me, when I am defining my morality, I would say, yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So what everybody else thinks, what the majority of the group thinks, isn't what's relevant. So what factors? What is the relevant factor you're using for moral consideration when you grant others moral consideration?
Well, I would the factor that they're going to agree with me that we're both going to not harm each other and we're going to help each other, not steal from each other, not rape each other, not enslave each other.
So based on what you just said, if somebody's not trying to actively harm you, steal from you, rape you, or murder you, or whatever, then they're worth your moral consideration.
Not that they're not actively, that they agree with me that we're both going to mutually.
So how do you determine if somebody, do you go up, like knock on your neighbor's doors? Do you get like a questionnaire? Do you have like a notarized contract? Like, how do you determine that?
Oh, well, come on now.
No, I'm dead serious. Because I would say it's just based on behavior.
I would say that I've lived so far without anybody ever trying to kill me.
Okay, cool.
I'd say it's been shown that they do consider me. Yeah, it's been shown.
By what? By their behavior?
Yeah, other behavior. Yeah, and I've had
Okay,
people.
so
I've been crises, and the people have helped me and things like that. I've had people punch me too, but you know.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't agree with like those people. I think their right, their right of freedom and all that type of stuff ends when their fist hits my face. You know, right? So have cows attacked you? Have pigs attack you? Are they trying to rape, murder, kill you, or anything like that?
Well, if pigs, cows, or anything, if they
No,
were,
hold on, no, not if. I'm asking, have they? Do they continually do that on a day-to-day basis?
well, I'd say no, they don't. But I would like to add that if they could, they would.
Okay,
If it was benefit.
well, hold on. Well, they don't, right? And you fancy yourself a pragmatist, right? They don't do that, right? They're not around you. They don't do that. I just hung out with a bunch of goats and cows. They were really friendly. Cow licked my hand. It was great.
Did you try swimming with some crocodile infested?
But we're not talking about crocodiles. I didn't ask you about crocodiles. I asked you about pigs, chickens, turkeys, things that you eat on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And
they don't.
Hold on,
they
Mike.
Can't.
Hold on, Mike. Hold on. You've been talking for an hour. Okay, based on your own logic, right? You said that you extend moral consideration to beings that aren't trying to harm you, murder you, kill you in any type of way, right?
No, the ones that have agreed to not to.
But
not the ones that would if they could.
We've determined that you've never went around getting people's verbal agreement or written agreement. So we agreed that it was their behavior that demonstrated this to you.
See, I know what you're trying to get at, but like I say,
well, what am I trying to get at?
You're trying to say,
Mike.
You're trying to say that the cows, because the cows don't kill us, we shouldn't kill them. That's what you're trying to get at. Because the cows don't kill us, we shouldn't kill them.
Well, no. I'm not
saying
that. Hey, I'm not saying that. You said the way you determined moral consideration is how people behave towards you.
People.
Right? Okay.
No, I said that was because that they've considered an agreement, a mutual beneficial agreement.
But how did they agree to you, other than how their behavior shows that to you?
Well, because they haven't assaulted me.
Okay, either have the pigs, cows, or chickens.
Yeah, but they would.
What do you mean they would? Have you ever hung out with cows? Are they doing it to you? Like, have they? How are you telepathically putting intent into these animals' heads? I don't understand this.
Well, let's take a little rabbit. He's not going to kill you, right? Just a little rabbit. Okay, let's change him just a little bit. He's the same rabbit, but instead of being someone who eats a rabbit who eats just like leaves and stuff, he also eats little grasshoppers and little mice. Okay, just make his diet a little different, little omnivore diet. He's still this funny little rabbit. He's still friendly. So we make you 2 inches tall. We put you in his cage. Is he going to eat you or not? Now what we've done is we changed.
Mike. This is complete sophistry and straw manning. You are employing a red herring right now, Mike. Let me
finish.
I'm not going to tolerate this shit, Mike.
No.
All right, no, seriously. You said that you base your moral consideration on beings who don't proactively try to attack you, and then I gave you an example of beings who don't proactively attack you, and now you're talking about humans being shrunk to 2 inches. This is pure sophistry, Mike. You are.
I'm showing you that every animal, every animal,
Mike,
beneficial. You don't want me to finish, do you?
Mike,
every animal will kill you if it can and is beneficial. He will kill you.
Mike,
that is agreement.
Mike. There's tons of humans who violate this agreement. Okay.
So we punish them. We take away their freedom.
Right. For example, I'm not going to go hang out with a bunch of gangbangers because they're probably going to harm me, right? I have that social intelligence, that awareness, right? The same way I'm not going to go hang out with a lion because it's probably going to harm me, right? But if you go hang out with a cow, you go hang out with a pig, a chicken, a dog, and a cat, they're not going to try to harm you.
A dog can try to harm. A dog and cat can try to harm.
Right. You. The same way that a gangbanger or a criminal can.
Yeah, you're just talking about a slight possibility.
Well, hold on. I'm basing this on
the crocodiles.
Moral consideration
will kill you.
Now, do you base your moral consideration on something else? Because it's clearly not if somebody's trying to attack you.
Now, I base my moral consideration on the fact that you're going to have moral consideration for me, and I'm going to have moral consideration for you. Something that the animals can never agree to.
But you haven't demonstrated to me, Mike, in any clear fashion that you've gotten any verbal confirmation, any like written contract. The only thing that you've presented to me is how people behave, and I'm showing you that this behavior is demonstrated in the animal context the same exact way.
No, it's not. The animals will kill us.
Okay, so when you go hang out with a cow, right? When you go hang out with a cow, it's always going to try to kill you.
If it can and it's beneficial for it to kill me, it will.
So if a human can kill you and it's beneficial to you, have humans in the past demonstrated that?
That's the difference. They don't.
Wait. So I live in a city where hold on, Mike. I live in a city where there's over 900 shootings in the city. All right, Mike. I am using your logic. So
those people deserve to have the freedom taken away.
Okay.
They've sacrificed.
So are these cows, chickens, pigs? Are these 60 billion cows, chickens, and pigs? Are they harming anybody? Are they attacking anybody? Are they doing any of these behaviors that you base your what people get put out of the moral consideration on your?
They were created for food. They're being raised as livestock food. I just don't see what you're getting at.
Right. What I'm saying is that I asked you what you base your moral consideration on, and it is only logical for you to extend that moral consideration to these animals because they're
absolutely do not have to do that. All I have to do, I told you, the only exception to killing is the agreement that we have made with other human beings.
Mike,
not to kill each other.
Mike, this is complete sophistry right now. You're out of your mind, dude.
Absolutely
You're out of your mind right now. You have not entered any type of formal agreement with anybody. Anytime you leave your house, or even when you're in your house, somebody can come attack you, okay?
And I have a right to kill them when they do that.
Absolutely. And why is that?
Because I have a right to defend myself.
Okay. Absolutely. Okay, but that doesn't mean that it can't not happen. If you're basing your moral consideration on people not trying to proactively attack you and stuff like that, then it's only logical that you would extend that to animals because they're not trying to attack you, unless you're saying you base your moral consideration on something else.
No, based on my moral consideration on an even deal that we have with the animals. What even
deal do you have with the animals?
We kill them when we see it's beneficial and we kill animals. Animals kill us. Animals kill us when it's beneficial and they can. That's a square agreement.
No. Because here's what you're doing. You're trying to apply like all animals in the world are trying to kill you constantly nonstop. That's a lie. Right? I walk out of my house every single day and there's not animals trying to hunt me down. Like, it's just not going to happen. And it's definitely not from chickens, pigs, turkeys, lambs, and cows. That's just complete sophistry and intellectually dishonest on your part.
Explain those are raised livestock food. We wait on them hand and foot. They have a purpose and they never would exist. You're not saving any animals.
Mike, but I'm not contributing. Mike. I never said that Mike, I didn't say I'm saving animals, but I'm not contributing to the death and slaughter of them, the needless death and slaughter.
You are contributing to their deaths, yeah.
Mike. I'm not going to let you off this point. You said that you offer moral consideration to those who do not attack you. And I'm arguing that these pigs, these chickens, all these things are not trying to attack you, and through your own reasoning, your own logic, that if something's not attacking you, that it's worth.
Well, you're strong, and I mean, it's not that they didn't attack me; that they've agreed not to. And when they violate that,
how are you determining? Because
what am I supposed to do? Since it's uncertain, I'm supposed to kill all human beings. You're not making any sense. I just explained.
No, you're not making any sense.
I just explained to you when they violate that agreement.
Kill them, sir. Okay. You have not engaged in any type of agreement with any other human beings, other probably than outside of your inner circle. And I'm pretty sure you've never had a conversation with maybe you have, but with your loved ones, like, hey, I'm not going to kill you if you don't kill me. All right, deal? Like, that's never happened. That's not how things work. Okay.
Well, it's an already agreement. That not that we have to sit there and verbally talk to everyone about that agreement.
What do you mean? You're the one who's arguing that you've made this agreement with all these people,
Yeah,
and
and
you have yet Mike,
people,
you have yet to demonstrate that.
People have demonstrated that with their mindsets, with an exception of murderers. You know, there's 99.9% of people never murder anybody.
Mike, how are we determining that? We're determining it by their behavior and the consequences of their behavior.
Yeah, it's because 99.99% of people don't kill, or however many percentages never
and
kill.
99.99% of chickens, cows, turkeys, all that type, lambs, they don't go around killing humans either.
So what? We don't have an agreement with them.
But how are you? I don't have an agreement with you. I don't have an agreement with Logan. I don't have an agreement with anybody. I've never sat down with somebody and was like, "Hey, I'm not going to hurt you." I can only extend trust to people based on their behavior and the consequences of their behavior. There's no written law. Are you like?
And they demonstrate their behavior by the way they don't kill anybody, and especially not me. So the chances of killing me are like zero. But you have a murderer. That's a different story. He sacrificed his. You know, I know you wanted to get your little gotcha in.
This isn't a gotcha. I'm using your own logic.
I explained to you why we have this agreement with other people. Otherwise, killing's okay. Killing's okay.
Killing is not okay.
It's nature. It's nature.
Needless killing is not okay.
And that's not an appeal to nature. Nature is whatever happens in the world. And you guys aren't grasping that. You guys have got that.
Mike. I'm not letting you get off this point. Okay. You said yourself that you offer moral consideration to those who don't attack you. That's you.
Humans.
This isn't a straw man. Okay. So it's not about attacking.
Not attacking is the anecdotal of the entire situation that we
all know.
Hold
on. No.
It's not just because they don't attack me.
Mike, I've given you an hour on my stream to talk. All right. Listen, okay. If it's not somebody attacking you, then you're talking about humans. You said I only offer humans moral consideration. So is it? Like, I agree with you. I think if somebody attacks you, they lose their moral consideration. But it sounds like you are giving humans moral consideration right off the bat simply because they belong to the human species. So it's not attacking. That's just the means for...
No, it's because what we've agreed to and what the vast majority of people have demonstrated through their behavior.
Right. The behavior, Mike. Mm-hmm. And chickens, cows, turkeys, pigs, all these beings have demonstrated through their behavior that they're not a threat,
they're food,
and that they're worth moral consideration.
Something that we created for food is worth consideration.
Mike,
do
you know what the Dunning-Kruger effect is?
That's what you're using.
What is an appeal to nature?
No, you're not going to say
what is an appeal to nature?
We're at a stalemate here, so we need
because you're intellectually dishonest. You are intellectually dishonest.
You're dishonest.
You've been trying to dance around and make assertions and all this type of stuff. And it's silly, dude. It's silly. It's transparent. It is so transparent.
1,000 different ways why we make this one exception
what is an appeal to nature, Mike? Can you please educate me on what is an appeal to nature?
Well, if I get real angry with you and I shout and I say, well, that's natural to get angry and shout. That's not appeal for nature. But when you talk about the very basics, like getting food and water and breathing and going about this earth as a simian ape and anything that's involved with just the very basic, you say, oh, that's appeal to nature. That's not an appeal to nature fallacy. Not at all.
You have no idea what an appeal to nature fallacy is.
If you don't understand that, then you absolutely have no idea what an appeal to nature fallacy is.
An appeal, I'll go ahead and I'll explain it. I'll explain it, and then we'll leave it up to public opinion. We'll leave it up to public opinion. An appeal to nature is when you try to use nature to determine whether or not something is right or wrong, right? So if you say, hey, raping happens in nature, killing happens in nature, it's natural, therefore it's right. That's an appeal to nature. Nature can't tell us if something's right or wrong. Nature
Yeah.
has things that are right.
Well, that-
Nature has things that are wrong. And you
Well,
can't just say my behavior is right because it happens in nature.
Well, you
That's
just agreed with me, and I guess you don't realize that when I sit there and explain to you why getting angry and shouting, that's natural, and raping is natural. Yeah, rape.
Yeah, but you're
getting
saying
food.
You're saying killing.
Getting food.
Hold on. You're saying killing is okay because it's natural.
Getting food is okay because it's natural.